Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Always a pleasure to be joined by Frank Smith. Frank, appreciate you jumping on at short notice. I know you're out and about. Keeping busy. What's your plans for today?
Yeah, well, good, mate. Got a few bits going on. I'm actually going to see the filming of Ramla Ali's doing a film at the minute called In the Shadows. They're filming in London, so I'm popping down there. Then I'm back into the office. Lots going on, but all good, mate.
I feel like we're in a bit of I don't want to say a lull period, but because we haven't had sort of things coming out back to back and we're obviously coming up to a busy period, there's not been that much in between. But the things that have come out, we were talking about the undercard for Bivol-Beterbiev, I think, last week. Full card now been released from top to bottom. Just give me your thoughts on it when it initially came out. Obviously, I know you've played a part in it alongside all the other parties.
Yeah, look, brilliant fights on the card. Obviously, look, firstly, topped by that undisputed clash that we've waited a long time for now, really. You know, we had that delay, but Dmitry Bivol is going to go in there and become undisputed champion of the 175-pound division on October 12th. You know, he's done amazing things in the sport already, but this will really cement it. That main event, then the undercard top to bottom, you know, Shakur Stevenson against Cordina. That's a fight, obviously, that had been talked about in the past for a while. You know, Shakur Stevenson, a brilliant fighter, hugely talented, and Cordina as well. I think the move up in weight as well for Joe will be beneficial for him. So great fight there. Chris Eubank Jr. fights Zepeda. You know, he's had nearly a year out the ring. So it'd be good to see him back out there. And I'm sure, like he's talking about at the minute, he wants all the big fights, which can be made for him. Ben Whittaker on the card as well. You know, he's done amazing things in a short period, built a big profile for himself. So this is a big opportunity to, you know, build himself even further, really on a global platform. You know, he's been very much focused on the UK, but a good opportunity for him. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Before we sort of talk about the rest of the card, just there, I wanted to touch on Shakur and Cordina. What's happened with Zepeda and that fight? Because there was talks about that fight needing to happen next. What was the state of play and how's the Cordina fight come about?
I think there was a plan to make it, but I believe Williams that the plan for that is for it to happen after this, and everyone's aligned on that. All parties are aligned on that. So I think we'll see that fight after this one.
I'm going to say, was that a sort of a negotiation with Oscar and everybody where they had to be comfortable with that? And is that in writing kind of thing that whatever happens, winner has to fight Zepeda next? There can't be no sort of side moves.
Yeah, it was. I think everyone was aligned. Like I say, everyone was aligned. The details there, and you know, because otherwise the belt wouldn't be on the line if that wasn't the case. You know, obviously it was a mandatory fight that was ordered by the WBC. So yeah, everyone's aligned with that. All parties on side, and you'll see that next.
The card itself, obviously, Skye Nicolson, first sort of world title female fighter as well. It's a bit of a historic moment out there. I think PFL Clarissa Shields was out there, obviously, but in terms of boxing, this is it in terms of you know, getting a first world title fight out there. It's a big moment.
Yeah, like you say, first female world title fight, Skye Nicolson, Raven Chapman. It's a brilliant fight, and it's a fight that's been, you know, spoken about for a while. And yeah, it's good to get it over the line. You know, there was always going to be. I think the cards have obviously progressed over time. You know, and there was always going to be these the female fight. There was calls for female fights, and that's why you're seeing it on here. So yeah, it's a good fight to start with, and a great fight for Skye Nicolson, and a good styles coming together.
I've seen a tiny bit of criticism in relation to the card, but I mean, do you think we're going into this period now where boxing fans are just so used to seeing these big cards now that you're going to see they almost just get in like it's expected kind of thing? So when maybe there's a few fights where you're like, oh, that's a one-sided fight and this, that, and the other. Whereas 18 months ago, if you'd have put this on any platform, it would have been, you know, you'd pay the money just for the main event for this one.
Well, look, like you say, the reality is a lot of the fighters would all headline shows internationally, you know, whether it be in the UK, in the US, all of these fights could headline independently. And bear in mind, this is an undercard that falls under, like I say, the undisputed light heavyweight championship of the world, probably one of the best fights in boxing. You know, like but that's boxing, isn't it? You're always going to have criticism. You're always going to have people. I think it keeps people going. You know, the reality of being able to moan about things.
Yeah.
So, you know, uh, but you're right. It's evolved in a sense of people were just they have high expectations now. Like these are normal cards, whereas, like I say, nearly every one of these fights could headline its own show. You know, wherever they're based. You know, so one of those things. You know, the other fight as well, Joe Opetaia back out.
Yeah,
You know,
Jack
so
Massa.
so back on the card. But Jack Massey, he had a great performance against Joseph Parker. You know, gave him a tough test in that fight against Joseph Parker. That was a while back now, but you know, I think he's a tough test. We all know what Jai Opetaia is about and what he can do. And after this, we got to look to step on. Look, Jai wanted the unifications, and that's the focus for us after this.
Why is CBS not happening? Because I know Jai had a bit of a rant on DAZN about it and said, look, you know, why are we not doing this? And he sort of went off on one a little bit about why that fight wasn't happening. What's the reason from your guys' end?
No, I think the offer was made. I think there was talk about timelines not working out. I think there was talk about it going in December, etc. But you know, not beyond that, not too sure.
In terms of signings, new signings yesterday, it was sort of revealed Fabio Wardley signed with Queensberry. I know you guys work together anyway now, kind of thing. But was there any talks to try and re-sign Fabio? I know he's been doing his own thing since, obviously, British champion kind of thing. But you had him for a good part of his career and were a big part of his story. Was there any talks about potentially re-signing?
We've always, like you say, we've had a great relationship with Fabio and still do. I think it was, you know, there was whenever we saw him, we spoke about, you know, opportunities. He was a free agent, so he was looking for the best possible offer and proposal for himself. So, but nothing in depth, in truth. But the relationship is good, like you say, has always been good and will continue to be good between us.
Brilliant. In terms of what's coming up, we've obviously seen the first press conference to sort of lead up to the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul stuff. Watching the Logan Paul podcast where they were talking to Mike and you know how he's feeling and stuff like that. I know this is sort of maybe in a different realm in terms of like the boxing cards we're talking about, but as that's now sort of slowly approaching, spoke to Frank Warren on it yesterday. Does it sit well with you, or you looking forward to seeing it? It's going to be a spectacle either way, and you've obviously got Katie Taylor on the card as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, Casey Taylor, Amanda Serrano's a special fight itself. That headline at MSG, what a night that was! A brilliant fight, back and forth for 10 rounds. So that, in its own right, you know, should really be separated out because that is, you know, the pinnacle of the sport, really. When it comes to Jake and Mike Tyson, the worrying thing for me is that you just kind of don't really know. But at the same time, I mean, how old is Mike Tyson?
I think he's 58.
58, yeah. It's all, I don't know. I don't know what to say, really. I'm just focused on, obviously, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano's brilliant fight. I don't really know about the main event. It doesn't really intrigue me too much, you know?
No.
Maybe I would love to have seen Mike Tyson at 40 knock out Jake Paul. But
yeah, would have been interesting. Have you seen much of Oscar De La Hoya in the last sort of week or so? The little viral video that went round of himself. He's addressed it this morning. Him and his missus dancing away, and he's done his usual clapback Thursdays where he's gone in on sort of the usual suspects: the Canelo Alvarez, Edgar Berlanga. Even Devin Haney's caught some strays off him this morning because of his clip that went out. What do you make of Oscar? He seems to be enjoying life at the minute.
Yeah, interesting character, Oscar. Interesting character. He, I haven't seen today's clapback Thursday, today's version of it, or was it clapback Wednesday maybe when he recorded it, put it in?
Well, it's clapback Thursday, but he's made reference to obviously there was an altercation between Devon, his team, and some people that went viral online. So he spoke on that. He's gone in a little bit on Edgar Berlanga over being from Puerto Rico and the usual. I think he said too much on Canelo. He just sort of flipped him the finger kind of thing. But What's your relationship like with him when you see him? Obviously, him and Eddie sort of have, I seem to think, this up and down thing where they both can be sat on a table together, obviously it's business. Then 2 minutes later, what something's happening. What do you make of that? And how do you get on with him?
I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a relationship with Oscar De La Hoya. I think the only time I did a press conference when we had Danny Jacobs against Canelo. I remember this was 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, something like that. And bear in mind, I was 25, 26, this, yappy little Essex kid. And I said something, I think, oh, the golden boy's going to wake up without his golden boy on May 7th. And I think he looked at me and thought, who the fuck are you? And I think that's the... I mean, I've been around him. I don't really deal with him too much. I deal with Eric Gomez. I have a great relationship with Eric Gomez, who runs the day-to-day of the business. That's who you make fights with, really. Like the majority of the time, Eddie will speak to Oscar, obviously, but yeah, my relationship really at Golden Boy is with Eric and the rest of the team.
Yeah. Looking ahead, have we got any new signings potentially on the horizon for Matchroom? I know you guys, obviously, we've been down the Shakur route, but with all the obviously Olympics just finished, some names obviously wanting to turn pro. Are you guys potentially announcing any signings sometime soon?
Yep, keep your eyes peeled.
Oh, last one just for me. Sonny
Not telling
Edwards.
you who they are.
No, I know you. I know you're not. Sonny Edwards. What's the state of play with him? Because he seems to be, frustrated maybe at this delay. He's made his intentions clear on who he wants to fight. In terms of your fight, where are we at with that fight? I think that's a cracking fight to me.
Yeah, brilliant fight, and I hope we're close. I hope we're close. Yeah, I think I'm hopeful we can get that done soon to take place this year. It's a brilliant fight. Obviously, Sonny Edwards, former world champion, still number one in the rankings. Galaway fight, Olympic gold medalist. There's great history, with the families in boxing as well. They were around GB as well together. They got relationship, they got history. So brilliant fight, and hopeful we can make it happen.
Where does that fight land? Does that go on an undercard in Saudi? Do you put it down as a headline in the UK? Where does that land?
I think it's the kind of fight that should headline. So that's the focus for us now. Make that fight before the end of the year.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll catch up soon, Frank. I know you're en route, and it's been sort of in and out of tunnels and every now and again. So, look, I appreciate you jumping on at short notice while you're in the middle of your working day. I really do. We will catch up soon.
No worries, mate. Good to catch up. Have a good day.